Hello again, friends. It's me. It's been a little while since I did one of these. Actually, it won't seem like a little while at all to you guys because all of these will just come out in the whatever order they come out in, specifically in the proper order. But a release date's a different thing. Anyway, it's been a while since I had a chance to sit down and read more of this interesting book. We actually got a long chapter rather than the last two being like 2 fucking pages. So this is chapter 5, and it starts with James meets his mom's new boyfriend, who I guess is a thing. I mean, he didn't even know that he was a thing. I wouldn't expect us, a reader, to know much of him. But, yeah, it's a little strange that he's just there. And neither this kid or his sister knew about this. So his mom's been, seeing this guy for a while, in secret. Apparently, he is very important in his construction firm, and he is a hunter and is very rich. He's a serial killer. This sounds like a serial killer. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's my headcanon anyway. Anyway, moving on. He goes back to school, and then he goes to see the guidance counselor because he got into that fight, which I honestly don't remember. It's been that long, but I assume, it's an Onision book, so I assume that's a thing. And there was a fight, and the guidance counselor is like, oh, you turned down the TA position that I tried to get you into. Why did you do that? And he's like, so I want to stay in art class. And she's like, oh, well, then who's the girl? Because you obviously are only staying for some girl. I'm just going to assume. And, yeah, he says, oh, it's this girl, Abby, and she's like, don't get involved with her. Real mysteriously, but won't say anything else. So, again, the fanfiction levels of writing are on full display here, where it's just how can I put this? You know how in older mystery games or stuff like Space Quest or something like that, when you do the right thing, there's a sound, a little jingle or whatever. Every time somebody says something mysterious in this, all I can hear is the little mystery jingle from Earthbound. So it's always just oh, there's this girl I like, Abby, I really like her, and it's the only class we have. It's well, I can't say anything about her, but you need to listen to my advice carefully. You need to stay away from her, James. Just real spooky. Oh, plot twist. It's very, telegraphed from a mile away. But, whatever. Moving on. Doesn't matter. Though she doesn't want him to be, anywhere near her, she rearranges his schedule so that he has PE in the same class as her. Because reasons. Also, she throws a handful of condoms at another kid, because, I don't know, he was there. And she's like, abstinence first, this is a last resort. That's literally the line, and just handful. Just, pfft. And I don't understand. I guess that was supposed to be funny, but it just came across as, incredibly awkward. Davis is here, because he's on the bus again. This is a different part, but yeah, when he gets on the bus, Davis is there, and he's like, oh, James, our hero, and so very... I gotta admit, as much as everybody else who I've seen review this book and they can't stand him, Davis might be one of my favorite things so far, because he is just a perfect little time capsule of that kind of random, quirky, marmalade kind of very early 2000s humor, where it was just you can't narwhal the bacon, whoa, wacky. It's so very very dated, but at the same time it's charming to me in a certain way. I know other people hate it. I am well aware of the fact that they do. That's totally fine. I understand why you would, but he is incredibly charming to me just because of that. Moving on. Yeah, so he goes to art class, and she's just like gone through his bag, which is creepy. But okay, whatever. She just did that. That was weird. And then they're like totally just super in sync, you know, like everything. Like, oh wow, you make everything so much better. Oh my god, so do you. And it's just like, it's a fan fiction. This is like, as someone who's read multiple terrible fan fictions, this actually isn't the worst so far. I mean, I'm only on chapter 5. This isn't the worst so far, but I will be completely honest. I have read things worse, but in order to find good and bad stories, specifically bad stories for a channel like this, you end up having to go through some that are actually not terrible, but you can see things that are like very pattern. There's a pattern. It's a very obvious pattern once you get to know it, and it's because, or at least my theory is, it's because the people who write these things tend to read from the exact same place in which they're going to post them. So a lot of their styles tend to mimic each other because that's literally how they kind of learn to do this. I can't say for certain that Onision has read fan fictions, because I don't know his personal life, but I would not be surprised if he did. I would not be surprised if these are the things that we, you know, the published works. But I would not be surprised if he actually did post on things like fanfiction.net a while back, or even still to this day. I don't know if he still does, or if he even did at all, but it wouldn't surprise me. I recognize that style. There's nothing wrong with that. Right? Anybody can write fan fiction. People have written fan fiction about me. It's a little weird, but, you know, whatever. It's kind of flattering in its own way. But it doesn't really surprise me. That's what I'm saying. There is a very uniform way that things kind of fit in, and it's not intentional. But anyway, they have another class together. And it's PE. I said that. The schedule changed. Well, now we're just there. And he meets the new coach, and the coach is like, "Oh yeah, I heard you got into a fight with that kid Jason. Oh, he's my nephew." And James is like, "Oh shit," and he's like, "Nah, he's a prick, just like his dad. Don't worry about it. You're fine." And he's like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then like they have to play dodgeball, and he's super good at it, you guys, because, you know, it's fan fiction. So he just, you know, at first he gets hit, but that just tunes him up, you know, and then he has to go all out, master, just this once, and he just releases his inner Ryzenga, I don't fucking know, I'm making shit up now, and becomes like the best dodgeball boy who ever was. And it's totally just like ultra badass, and it super impresses Abby, who's just like, "Wow, oh my god, you're the greatest." And then, you know, she's like, you should call me tonight. And he's like, "Yeah, totally." And she at one point hugs him, and then she kissed him on the cheek, and he was just like, "Oh, nani?" And yeah, it is kind of like that. It's like really over the top. This feels like the writings of that. Do you remember that one kind of edgy kid that was in your class that you didn't know they wrote fan fiction, but you kind of felt it? Like, you know, you can't prove that they did, but you're just like, they do. It's that. This feels like that. This feels like something they would write, where it's like, yeah, I'm in school, but this time, even though I'm an outcast, I'm the most awesome, and everybody, you know, thinks I'm cool except for the stupid jocks, but they're stupid anyway, and like, I could totally take them if I wanted to, but like I didn't, and because I don't, you know, I don't want to unleash my full power or something, I don't know. And it's a little weird, but you know, I've heard worse. I've seen worse things. But yeah, that's this chapter. It ends that way. He calls her, and they talk about where is it? I'll quote it. The plausible absurdity of horoscopes. So the possibility that horoscopes might be absurd. They are, but whatever. Quote unquote, the secret. I don't know what that means, but alright. The legitimacy of souls. Neat. The afterlife, and even leprechauns. Cool. I mean, I can't really say too much about that because they are supposed to be teenagers, and that does kind of sound like the lol random thing that like teenagers would talk about in the, you know, mid 2000s. If you don't believe me, seriously look up some of the things from the mid 2000s. I don't just mean like the things that were really popular. Remember, this was the time period in which we got stuff like Fred, the internet guy. Yeah, his name was just Fred. He screamed a lot. I can't stand him. But that was cool at the time, you know? Whoa, huh? Narwhal bacon, pineapple, wacky. Yeah, it's like that. It's really like that. I'm so sorry that that's a thing. But, you know, whatever. That's this chapter. I hope you enjoyed listening to me talk about it in such a weird fucking fashion. I'll see you guys in the next one. Okay. Goodbye.